So we're here on the final day of the shed repair. We're going to walk you through what all we did and take you on a tour of the final product. Take a look. Let's go. As we try to keep the job site clean, especially when we finish. So we do and take a magnet, scrape everything, and make sure there's no leftover nails, screws, so the homeowner doesn't get any kind of flat tire. I don't want a flat tire, and I know they don't want a flat tire. But here, what we did for the drainage is he had some curbs here, and we just I heated them down, put some silicone on the side so it helped navigate the water over to this main drainage area. So this drainage area is going to go down and back along the shed and then out around the backyard to help reduce the amount of water that's getting into this shed. Because it took about 3 years for this shed to have severe water damage. The subfloor was bouncing. It just wasn't working for him anymore. So he called us and we solved his problem. Okay. So right here, we had our main ramp that we got all our material, got wheelbarrows for dirt, rock, everything like that. We took that out. We cleaned it up. As well, any type of damage that we cause to the job site, we take care of. So what happened is this became a lot of the work area, the stone half wall, and it became chipped and cracked and stuff like that just from us putting materials, walking on it, wheelbarrows, stuff like that. So we take care of the homeowner and we took a coat of paint, made it look fresh and new. Next, you can see this is the trench that we dug. So it came all the way down here and the entire trench came out to be maybe 90 feet in total. So here you can see it's already working, but this is our water emitter. This is going to take all the water that comes from the driveway, the neighbor's yard, the top of his shed, and pushes it out right here. And even any water that comes from his house and going down onto his stone in the backyard, it's all going to come from here, helping solve his problem in the shed. And hopefully for years to come, he's not going to have any water damage or water saturation in the wood, creating saggy floors and subfloor and needing to call us back. Let me show you what we did in the shed itself. So you can see on the bottom, we redid the trim because that was all rotten out. And as well, I had to take that up to lift the shed up to be able to replace the entire subfloor. So what I did is we just replaced the entire thing, made it a little wider so that it hid all the areas that I had to cut in to put in structural members for the subfloor area. So you can see what we did is we put all the stone in. We've got some conduit to run his TV cable, his Samsung One Connect cable around the side to his server rack. We'll show you that in the future, or when we show you that when we get inside. But you can see we did this conduit instead of just tearing out all the drywall inside, put some conduit. He said, I don't care how it looks, just get it so it works. And I never come back here. I just need the water problem solved. So you can see right here, this is where that drain comes, and it comes all the way down and around that shed. So what we did on the brick itself is we put a dry lock paint. I did I think it was 4 or 5 different coats. Really wanted to make it thick and penetrate any of the small cracks. But you can see, so right here in this brick, we took this down to the exterior sheathings. And then I just put a layer of sheathing on the exterior, got some weatherproofing on it, and put this brick on here. We caulked all the edges, put some trim on there, make it look a little nicer, and then put that dry lock coating all along here. And as well on the bottom of the surface on the concrete foundation that it sits on. And then as well all along this side. It's all got the dry lock on it and a new set of trim, buttoned up, painted, looks good. Let's go on into the inside. Okay, now it's the big time. Now it's time to check on the inside. Let's head on in. So from here, you can see that we completely transformed the space inside. So we got out all the bounce in the floor. And we really transformed the inside of the space. So on the drywall or on the server area, he had a lot of drywall patches that he tried to do that we took care of, made it look a lot better. Nice smooth wall that he's working with. So from here, we buttoned up and put a lot of different outlets in that he's got a custom set of speakers that he's going to put in there and have on each side of the wall. So all his cables are going to be running from the floor outlet that we put in, ran that all the way up to his server rack. That's going to be tied into his UPS. So it's going to help protect his computers and everything and his workstation we get any kind of damage. And then from here, this is going to be all his speaker connections. He's got a HDMI, he's got a subwoofer, an Ethernet, and also a optical cable, as long as some power cords. So behind here, he's got his speaker cables that's going to run in the wall. So he's not going to have any kind of messy cables out here. As well, we buttoned it up and put everything behind the server, make it look nice and tidy as we could. From here, he's got his TV on the wall, nicely mounted, level, exactly the way we do it. And he's going to have his couch, perfect little work area. But what we did, he's got a camera out there, so we routed his Ethernet cable and a PoE cable behind this trim. We didn't want to take out all the drywall. Try to keep it simple for him. Behind this trim, and it's tied into drywall right there, and then I feed it in behind the wall. Then it ties into his server rack where he can tie it in and do whatever he needs. And I will tell you one issue that I ran into that I should have done better. So this is what we did. In this subfloor, what we had to take out, we had to take out all this wood, which wasn't originally planned. It was only planned to have the middle 4 section or middle 4 feet of it on the structural members, because that's where a lot of the sag was the worst. It was only planned to repair that and just kind of pull it out and slide it in underneath. That didn't end up being the case. So what we had to do is we had to take out this entire subfloor. The structural members, everything was starting to rot, and it just wasn't supporting the shed anymore. What we did is we had to jack it up a little bit, maybe 3 to 4 inches, so we could be able to slide in some 4x6 structural members. Those 4x6s are going to run the long ways. They run on the edge perimeter on here and on that far side. And then we've got 3 in the middle, spacing of about, I think it was, 12 feet, about 3 feet each. So some of the long ones, you just can't get an 18-foot 4x6 in here. So what you had to do is you've got to buy 12-footers, and then you can sister them together with some structural lag bolts, tie them in the middle, and take care of that problem. So on top of that, we've got the subfloor. The subfloor is run perpendicular to those structural members, giving it better integrity. As well, the biggest problem was trying to figure out how to keep this shed jacked up while we put that subfloor in. So on this side, what I had to do is I had to cut out, and that's why we put that larger trim in the front, because I had to cut out in the front to raise it up on the outside so that I could put the subfloor in and slide it in underneath the existing wall. That was the most challenging part, to figure out how to keep it raised while putting a subfloor in and not raising it up, a foot. So we just lifted it on the exterior. We did it piece by piece. It took a little bit longer, but we got it done. And we can do all types of projects like this. We can raise the foundation. We can replace piers. We can replace subfloors that are rotting. Lifting up the house, give us a challenge, we'll take care of it. But moving on is that we put the subfloor in, got it all nailed down. And what you got to do is you got to make sure when you replace that subfloor, that when the subfloor and the wall frame is attached, screw in the subfloor to the existing walls. So what I did is I cut out some of the areas behind where the existing baseboards are going to go, cut out areas to put structural screws. Some of the screws are 10 inches long to really get all the way into the structural foundation of the shed, and other ones are just getting into the floor joists of it based on where they are and where they're located. But some range from 6 inches, and on this server wall, they went up to 10 inches or 12 inches, I believe, to get all the way into that perimeter beam. It's really going to lock in the walls. If you don't do that, what can happen and what will happen is that this shed over time, and just as storms and different things occur, is that it's going to bow out, because the only thing holding it down is just the weight of the structure. And in the long term, that just won't be enough. It will start coming apart, and you will have issues and crackings, and the whole shed could just fall down. I learned from my mistake right here. What I did wrong here, and I used a simple fix, but what I did for this baseboard is I couldn't nail on the top of it, but I got some adhesive, some strong adhesive that I'd use for like a countertop or a sink and stuff like that. Put it behind there. It's not going to be an issue. But remember this as a tip in the future, and I'm going to remember it too, is even though you've got a server rack here and you've got a work blower, still keep all those wires higher than your baseboards, because you're going to run into issues of nailing the baseboards into your studs, getting them adhered if you're not wanting to use any kind of adhesive. But honestly, the adhesive, it holds hundreds of pounds, especially in countertops, and it's going to be just fine for right here. So it's not worried, but keep that. I'm going to keep that in mind for next time. So don't make that mistake and have to figure it out. And then finally, so whoever did this remodel of this shed when he bought it about 3 years ago, they really just trying to hide things. So you can see on this wall, come take a look. So there's a huge bow in this wall. Reason being, it's not anything structural. But what they did is they put about an inch of drywall mud right behind here, just trying to hide the fact of how much of a bow in the walls that it really had when they were selling it. And I think they're just kind of flipping it. But what we took care of is to solve this problem. There's two different methods you can do. With this baseboard, you can have this baseboard go basically straight, and you're going to have to caulk all the areas that are wide gaps. And they were talking about some of the worst was about an inch to an inch and a half. The solution we came up with was in the furthest point and then the biggest points. There are some specialty screws that you can take. I used, I believe it was 3 1/8 screw. It has a small pinhead. That pinhead is about half the size of a pen. And that pen is it's going to hold a lot better than a nail because a nail really is just nailing in. It's not going to have any pulling force, but a screw will really push it in there and make it tighter fit. But what we did is we screwed them in. Homeowners like David, I trust you. We've been working together and I like how you do it. I trust you just kind of take care of it and what you need to do. So I went to go get some specialty screws, drilled them in. It pulled it tight. Some areas needed a couple more, but all we did is we just took some spackle. There's going to be this couch in front of it anyway. I'd rather do a tighter job and not do all the caulking just because I believe it looks better, even though the drywall is an inch thick. In the end of the day, it's still just a shed. It's not the main house. He's going to have a couch here, and it's what he wanted to do because doing demo work on this is just going to add costs that just don't need to be done. So that's how we did that fix. But all in all, from this project, it was a success. It took a little bit longer than we were thinking it was going to because there was a lot more structural issues that we had to deal with than initially anticipated, but that's not a problem. We took care of them. And what we did is we took care of it, finished it up, and now we're moving on to the next project. So stay tuned, see what our next project is, and come along for some updates in the future. All right, so watching us in this project, what questions do you have for us? Let us know in the comments, and we can try to help you out. Even though you might not want to hire a contractor, we can still help you out. Give us a call, and we'll see what we can do for you. Because what we offer is we offer free 15-minute virtual meetings. You can schedule on our website. Take a look on the different services that we offer. We do home additions, ADUs, home renovations, entire kitchens, baths, even new builds. So give us a call, see what we can do for you. But really, this job, that's a wrap. Time to pull up a sign and take it to the next job.
So over the past few projects, I've really started to increase the amount of reliance that I've had on the pack-out system. And you can see here, these pack-out stacks has really become very valuable. The key that I've recently found is that separating all of the different demolition, plumbing, electrical tools that I'm going to need into their own separate boxes, which has become incredibly useful for when I need everything for that specific job.
So that's it. Let's on out, and I'll see you at the next one.